someone who was very attached to horror films. And it was a way for me to really creatively express myself when I was doing things like music and film, and give you a lot of room for experimentation. You know, there's always something about the Victorian era and the supernatural that always kind of clung to me. It really appealed to me, and I always loved the ambiance of those movies that had that kind of period style, and the books that definitely described things that were going on in that era. And yeah, so it was kind of a no-brainer for me. It was going to be a book I really loved.
So the process took you about 3 years. Yeah. And what was the hardest part about that process of composing this opera?
The hardest part was finishing the libretto and realizing that I had a whole score to write afterwards. Writing that last page of the libretto and all of a sudden staring at all this paper in front of me going, okay, here we go. let's get to it. And yeah, but no, luckily 3 months later, and a lot of stories to tell. So, yeah.
Perfect. I was gonna say, what's the most rewarding part of that process?
For me, it's seeing it come to life, but it's also being able to have the relationship with the people that I have the relationships with, who are in this cast and behind the scenes and making this work. That's always been the more fun part, because the collaborative experience is something I think is really rewarding, and you get a lot of different perspectives that get brought into that as well. It no longer just becomes your baby, it becomes like the baby gets raised by the village.
How were you two involved? Which characters did you play?
My character is really interesting. In the original book that Ross was talking about, The Great God Pan, my character is actually a man. And Ross chose to write it for mezzo-soprano as a woman and turn her into a Tommy boy in the Victorian era. So essentially, she's living her life as a man, and that's how she's able to be successful and be a detective. So.
And Villiers, we are the duo, and we basically go through the score, the story, picking up clues and breadcrumbs along the way.
Ross Crean, who composed this, once said that there are many different interpretations for this piece and for the book and for the story. So do any of you guys have an interpretation you'd like to share?
There's this idea of not only dealing with gender and sexuality and pleasure and right and wrong, but also the idea of choice and how each person has their own facility for choice towards evil or towards good. And finding the decisions in the gray area between those things can be problematic. It's very easy to say that Helen's character and Raymond's character are the bad guys of the opera. But at the end of the day, no bad person has ever thought of themselves as bad. So it's a nice opportunity to explore how we make choice, the motivation behind those, and what it says about who we are as people.
Well, and I think it's cool, you know, what sets this story apart from a lot of other stories is that the quote-unquote evil characters actually get a moment in time to sympathetically kind of plead their case. Mm-hmm. In your first act music, you talk a lot about how it's like you're furthering science and this is innovation, and it's, you know, it echoes a lot of her themes of ushering a new age, and you know, you are just doing what your biology is telling you to do.
Exactly, yeah.
What is the classical music and opera scene like in Chicago?
I think that the what we would say the storefront opera scene here in Chicago is really something special, and actually holds the future of what opera is going to be, because we're trying to take it, you know, out of the larger houses and bring it to the people in more casual environments, in more intimate environments. A show like this in the English language that they can understand, and it's accessible because it's an hour and a half. The story is really riveting, and I think that's really where the future of opera is, in the smaller productions like that.
And no judgments.
Okay.
You know,
in what way?
You know, you see a lot of people come to indie opera performances for the first time in their jeans and their shirts, and they feel completely at home because they didn't have to gussy up too much, and they don't care. Like, no one's there to watch them and judge them. We're all there to enjoy what's going to be going on stage, and I think that's the best thing. It's community.
What is rewarding to you about performing opera? And I think you spoke a little bit about the catharsis.
It's really like nothing else in the world. I never feel more alive than when I am inhabiting a character and letting the music and the drama just flow through me and pour out. It's really the closest thing to a religious experience.
Something I probably will never be able to experience. Good to hear from you. So, and you all have a live performance, I think?
We do. So not only is this the world premiere recording, but Ross's opera is going to be premiered in live action by Chicago Fringe Opera on March 10th this year here in Chicago. You can already purchase tickets for that at www.chicagofringeopera.com and keep track of all the great work that Ross and those companies are doing.